Okay, great. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is April 14th, and it's Tuesday. It's now approximately 8:43 a.m., and I've had some difficulty trying to get my stream going. So let's see. But good morning. I am excited for the day, and let's see what's happening. Overnight, the markets are up. That is good news. And what else do we have? The stream has the wrong name. Let me just fix that. Let me fix the stream name so that it doesn't look so bad that I'm sending out yesterday's stream settings. Because now I don't know why it copied yesterday's settings, but today is April 14th. And now I'm going to send out the link. So here we go. We're going to try that one more time. All right. And we're looking at the big board. And we can totally see what's going on, right? Okay, just kidding. One more second. I'm almost there. All right. The VIX, it's down to 18. Overnight, it looks like the market really is trying to come back. So let's see a little bit closer look at what happened overnight, and we'll look at the indexes and see how they've been doing. The euro, I could see, is up significantly. It's at 1.18. Now, this is a level that I've been saying that I think we were supposed to get back to, especially when we were down in the 1.15s. So I'm surprised a little bit, but not shocked. Overnight, the metals tried to come back a little bit. Gold's up 0.5%, silver's up 2.5%, and platinum's up just above break even. But it doesn't look like they broke out above any sort of level. Silver did sort of bump into this 78 level that we've marked out in the past. Copper is continuing to go over $6. So that should be a good sign for copper and the copper metal stocks. Also, miners should be doing well because of that. Citibank had earnings overnight. They crushed earnings and they're up multiple percent. They were at like 120 yesterday. Then they closed, I think, at around 125. They're at 127 now. As well, there were a couple of other companies that had earnings like J&J and Wells Fargo, and I think they all did well on their earnings. So we should see that the market continues to go up. I was a little concerned yesterday, I'll be honest, after Goldman Sachs had earnings that were disappointing, and we saw the financials fall. XLF, different financials fall. Now we should see the market rally, I'd say, on XLF, and we should just see maybe a general lift in the market. I would suspect. Consumer staples is still down, and but consumer goods, this XLY, this one is actually up. So go figure, right? XLY is up, XLP is down, right? So consumer discretionary, XLY up, consumer discretionary is up, but XLP, which is the consumer staples, is down. Go figure. So staples down, discretionary up. Discretionary is like McDonald's, I think. Staples would be more like I have to look it up, but things that you need. Industrials are up, utilities are up. Healthcare is kind of flat. not surprising. And technology is up slightly. Energy is continuing to fall as oil prices come down. The communication sector is continuing to rise, and industrials look like it might continue to rise. It does look like it has a nice trend, as well as real estate. Real estate also has a nice strong recovery trend. SPY is back at 688, and we're going to look for the Qs are at 620. So this is a very interesting alignment of numbers here. Okay, let's go into some of the indexes and get a little bit of a closer look. So one of the things that maybe I want to do to make it a little more exciting for you is not just recite what's going on in the market and what I think is going to happen today, being that I'm not getting, a whole lot of comments. Anyway, yesterday I had sold off a lot of positions just to generate cash, but then I re-entered some positions hoping that the market might turn around. One of them I bought into is GFL, and it does not seem to be doing that great. It came up on my scan about 2 days ago, and right now we're down about 2% on the position, which is not terrible, right? Considering it's just, we're down 2%, and that's annoying. So we're going to try to see if we can recover it. If not, let's see how long GFL will take to sort of recover. Okay, so this is the daily look on GFL. You can see they just dumped yesterday a dividend. That dividend should have pushed the stock down, but not enough to keep it down. So let's see a little bit closer on the 5-minute. Looks like you're trying to have some sort of recovery off of 3 a.m., but we're definitely in a downward trend. So if I see that this continues again down another 50 cents or something like that, maybe I'll cut my loss. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of that will depend on just the day, because if I see, one of the things that we have to pay attention to is relative strength, and that is, how things are doing when the market's doing bad. So if things are going up when the market's doing bad, generally it means they have better relative strength. And so we would like to see them continue rocket up when the market does recover. So this is not doing that. GFL Environmental, they do have a number of things against them. So this is not, the worst risk that I've put on, but we're down about $100 in the position, and let's see, because we can probably recover that from here pretty easily. It looks like, right? This looks like we're trying to do this U-turn. I just got in a little bit too early, probably, like I always do. Sometimes I get in a little too early. I do look for the 1 hour to generally turn around. This didn't turn around yet, and so that's why I'm saying I'm early. It didn't break above any sort of trend line on the 1 hour. These are things that I'm generally looking for. So I jumped in a little early on this one. Let's take a look at BTU. Again, this came up on my scan, and this is going to be more, based on, I think, the recovery of maybe the economy versus the recovery of oil. I don't think they're flowing together right now. We've been on this little downtrend tear. I do expect it to come back up at some point. If I zoom out on the daily, you can see we've really been in a generally just an uptrend. We did have a little spike in March, pulled back hard, and now I think we should get back in line for that continuation. However, if we come down like another 50 cents or a dollar or whatever it is, and it voids my thesis, then I'll exit the position. Another one to look at is U. Again, U it's clear security. when you travel with the airplane and you go through that security check. They've also been on an upward trend. They did pull back. They were popped under their daily trend line. They're back, I think, around it now, and we're looking for some continuation. Now, if it does pull back to like 30, that would be a great entry. That would be a great entry, right? But right now, I'm just gonna play this long, see if we can get some recovery, and I'll probably take profit if we can get up to like that 55. Um, that'll be my goal. And in fact, what I'll likely do right now is secure the. It's not an expensive stock. Secure the position, right? So maybe get 100 shares, sell the call, try to lock in some money there. If I see it then reverse out of here, well, we close everything and we recoup some of the loss. I've been suffering with some jelly in my face lately with Smuckers. They're not doing so well. I bought a little bit of Smuckers, just a couple shares, and they're down a little bit. So we're looking for a recovery in jelly, and you know, uh, it's looking like it might come back. You look at this; it's a sideways channel. They've been going sideways all year. They were up at 113. Their price target is up about there. So it's just a matter of time for them to recover. And you just got to wait. So let's say it'll take about a month or two to get back up to the 112, but that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So what else is happening on my scanner? So my scanner doesn't generate things automatically during the day. It pops in and they kind of come out. So what I started doing is I had the system email me when a new when a new thing comes up. So let's see what we had. We had some alerts come in. One of them that came in. Okay, now this was, I guess, the short. I think that it was thinking, yeah. So it was. So this is the short on the S&P. You can see this curl up, drop back down. The question is, do we curl back up again? Does the S&P continue to fall? So now this is a daily direction. It's been going down, right? Because the S&P has been normally going up, and this is not a long-term hold. This is if you expect the economy, or the market, I should say, to turn, and to turn fast, like within a few days, that kind of thing. You could buy some of this, hang on to it, buy it at 9.5, sell it at 10, and call it a day. I'm not really comfortable to say you buy this long. So anyway, that's that. It just happens to be that this pattern, right, is coming up on my scanner. Okay, so now 9 o'clock. Let me take a look also at um, I'm gonna pull up some other positions just to see what's going on. ERO copper, they're up at 32 now. They're up another little bit. Again, this has to do with the price of copper, and they're doing well. So we bought down here. It's up here now. I sold the call at about here, so we're just gonna wait and see what happens with that. What I don't have is Alcoa. Now, this is something that is a good lesson for us in the future. Whenever there's a war, you need to look for things like aluminum, Alcoa, especially if there's a war in the Middle East, because apparently a lot of aluminum sourcing comes from there or whatever. I don't know. But either way, aluminum goes up during war. It's in everything. So look at that. Look at that tear. I was playing with Alcoa. I had Alcoa a few months ago, and I rode it from here to here or something like that. Like I made like a couple dollars, but I was not expecting it to do that big jump. If I did, I would have held on to it. Alcoa is doing really well. Let's take a look at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo again. Oh, they're down. Okay, so they had earnings, but they're down a little bit since their earnings. Interesting. Let's see. I want to see XLF again as a total. So XLF is just slightly off, even though these companies had pretty good earnings. Let's see about J&J. J&J, they're at 235 again. They're also off a little bit after their earnings. I was expecting them to do a little bit better. UNH did not have earnings. I'm just curious to see how they're reacting to the news. They're pulling back just slightly at 312. So, I would like to see UNH get up to about 360, and then I would consider taking some profit. I have exactly one share for my son of UNH, so it's not like I have a lot of it, but my son has one share. So I'm considering just pairing it off to give him. It's a very small account, so this is a very large position in a very small account, the one share. So I might just sell it and give him something else that he could play with. I do think that long term United Healthcare will come back, so it's not the worst thing, and you get a little dividend along the way. So there is that. Everyone knows, watches me or talks with me, that I like these dividend stocks, and there's a reason for it. It's because you have a long term hold, and at least you're collecting some money along the way. You're not totally losing everything. Plus, I think if it has a dividend, if it's a decent stock that has a dividend, it will continue to be valuable to people because it has an intrinsic value back to them, right? It's not just the value of the company. It's like they're getting something back. Apple, I think, is one of those companies. When Apple was at 250, I think it was a great buy. We're up at 260 now, and it's the top of this little value area. So I'm not sure. You could see on the daily, all three channels are down. I don't like that. I would have preferred them all up. Zooming in, all three channels on the 4-hour are up, and we're targeting, closer to the 270 number. So there is potential for this to continue running. On the 4-hour, definitely for Apple, but I don't know if it doesn't retrace to the bottom of the value area first before it goes back up to the top, or does it just continue straight. It's not a terrible place to be, even on the 4-hour. We're just above where the trend line is. Obviously, I'd like to buy closer to the trend line and then continue to ride it up. Let's take a look at NVIDIA, because they seem to push the market around a lot. NVIDIA's up. It's at 190. I'm thinking around 195 if we get up there. Do you sell, right? Because we've been going sideways for months, right? Since November, September, basically. This is just sideways. You're either down or you're up. Might pay to secure your position if we get up to the 190s today, a little higher. I think it's good if you pair some profits and whatever. Now, one of those dividend stocks that I do look at is NVDY. They track NVIDIA, so if you're trading NVIDIA, you could also trade NVDY, and you can see they're already up close to their peak. And they do pay a nice dividend off of NVIDIA. You can see it's about 11 cents a week on a $13 stock. So not bad, right? Okay. As long as you think that they'll do well. SMCI, they've not been performing so well, but it looks like they're on turn for a recovery. So if you like SMCI for a recovery, it's at 27. It's at the top of the gap. It crossed the gap. So now we're looking for it to continue up to about 33, 34. And, that, let's say it continues there, it can go back up to the 40s, 45, who knows. So you have SMCI. You could also play SMCY. That pays a dividend, and it should follow the same sort of track. You could see it's on the same downtrend that SMCI is, but it does pay a little bit of a dividend along the way. And I like that if you're going to play with SMCI. Again, this is more of a short-term kind of trade. Long-term, I don't know if these work out as well, but definitely, in a short-term trade, if you know that SMCI is going to recover, this could be a good thing. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla's at 358. They're up. They're coming back, it looks like. And you can see on the 4-hour, the channel 1 looks like it's turning around. And I like that. See, channel 1's kind of flat, turning around. That's a good sign. Even though on the 4-hour, the larger channels are still pointing down, and the daily, they're all pointing down for Tesla. So Tesla's targeting about 320, but they do have earnings coming up April 22nd, so less than 10 days from now, and that makes the Tesla a little bit tricky to trade. They crossed through this value area gap. They're at the top of this value area. It's very likely that they continue going back down to the bottom of the value area. Like a magnet, they may hit that 320, and then I should hope that we turn around. Now, longer term zoom out, if I zoom out to, let's say, the weekly trend, on the weekly, Tesla's been strong, right? So this long trend has been going for Tesla, and it's been holding this trend. It dipped below it though, right? So we dipped below it here, we dipped below it here. I don't expect it, let's say, to dip forever, but you could see that this support line, if I extend it to the right, looks like it has a floor around here. There is support as well here at 350, where we are, but that this would be also another level of support. So we could draw a line, just to show on the tops of these candles. You have like 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a bunch of candles that line up at the top here on the week. So it should be an area of support. But if it doesn't hold here, then the next stop is around 320. So let's see what happens, because this support looks pretty good around 300, and then 350 is the next sort of support. But you could see that it did spike up here, didn't really respect that 350 too much, whereas here this 300 was respected multiple times. Could come down back to the 300, 320 level, like I'm saying, on Tesla. So, if you have Tesla long term, I think you're fine. And when I mean long term is if you're going to plan to hold it for a year or more. If you're in the short term, just keep an eye on things. See if it breaks below 350. If it breaks below 350, it's going to 300. If it continues in this direction, and we break now above our daily trend line, then I think we have a good chance of recovery to close this gap back to 400 on Tesla. Let's look at Microsoft, Daddy. Microsoft's back at 391. It took a little dip down into the 350s for a while. It forgot that it's Microsoft. It's the King Daddy. So King Daddy's coming back. I like it. I like Microsoft long. I just think they're a fabulous company, and everything is tied into them. Even this AI stuff you can say, because Microsoft runs the servers and runs the stuff. Now, okay, a lot of AI is running on Linux or Unix. We're trying to isolate systems on OpenClaw or whatever, but the fact is, a lot of servers, Active Directory, that kind of stuff, they're running Windows. So we're on a Windows world in the office. We have not given up Word, Excel, and Outlook. I don't think those are going away. Hosting is not going away. It's just going to be, I think, more used more, actually. So you have companies like Microsoft should recover. Now, I don't like the trend, right? You see on this 4-hour that that channel 3 is down, but it looks like 1 and 2 are really turning around to recover. That could be a good sign. Zooming in on the 1 hour, you can see 1 is straight up, 2 and 3 are mildly up. Again, these are good signs for Microsoft. I'm looking for a recovery on Microsoft. I think that'll be good. Oracle is another one that was jumping around yesterday. Look at that. Oracle's up at 165. 155 yesterday. Look at that move. Amazing. Oracle is coming back. They had a really bad run. Look at this run. They were up all the way at 345, slid all the way back down to 135. That really hurt, cutting it in a third. And, hopefully this will now signal the recovery. We're at the value area of a 154, and I would look for us to recover back up to the 200 and at least to the mid 200s. Like, this don't look right. Okay. Might zoom out to the weekly. This is a better picture. I think it explains what's going on, but you can see, every time we could just draw these lines, right? And it's following these trends. So right now we're at the underneath this line. We shouldn't be underneath. We should be above it. Minimum, we should be at this line, right? So that pulls us to 200 very easily by, let's say, end of 27. We should be back at 260 on Oracle. So in about a year from now, if things go slow, I don't know, right? You could see this meteoric rise. This meteoric rise happened in less than a year, and then it dropped again in less than a year. So I don't expect it now to do the same thing. They don't usually spike up, pull back, and then spike right back up to there. But, you could see in the past, we've gone up, we've pulled back to about support. We've gone up, pulled back to about support, gone up, pulled back to about support, gone up, pulled back to about some sort of support, and then we should continue from here, go up, pull back to 200. So, meaning I definitely see 200 in the not distant future, and then I would say, we will spike up and then pull back again to the 200. So you'll have a second chance to get to that 200 again on Oracle. But it looks really good that we've been doing that, right? So let's see, just zooming out, look at Microsoft. Very sort of interesting and similar pattern, right? We go up, we come down, we go up, we come down. We're going to go back up to the top of the channel, and don't worry, we'll find our way back down to the bottom of that channel. That's just the way things have been going, right? We work our way up to the top of the channel, then down, then work our way up, then down. But, you have to be tolerant of those kinds of swings. So let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon is at 243. we're topping this this resistance area for Amazon at, that was at 238, it looks like. And so we broke over it, but not strongly yet. It's just a yet, right? I don't know what's going to happen, but we did break over it, and we're continuing. It's a very strong trend. Return on Amazon. I like Amazon. Amazon Web Services is amazing, right? They do all that hosting, and so Amazon is just a monster of a company. Having said that, I will say that it does look high, right? So if we have these channels, they're pointing down, we've reached the top of the channel. This would be an indication of a good place to take a little bit of profit. If you have profit, take a little bit of profit in Amazon, and you can always buy some more. Zooming out on the weekly, you can see that, we've really obeyed this trend for the most part. We did have this dip over here in 23, but other than that, we then made a nice recovery, and again we went up, back down to the support level, up, back down to the support level, up, back down to the support level, up now. So we're going up. This is going, looks like it's establishing or at around 250 to 240, the new support level. And then from here, I would expect us to, let's say, go up and then pull back to some level around here and then continue going up again. If we were just following this same sort of pattern, right? And you could see that even in this pattern, it's common for us to have a little bit of sideways movement. So we had some sideways movement here, and we had some sideways movement here. And so we had some sideways movement here. And I don't think we're done with the sideways movement. So, you know, this just helps, I think, illustrate the move, right? Up, back down to support, up, back down to support levels. And that's kind of what we're doing. So I think, you know, this might be an interesting place to pair off a little bit of profit should you have some, if you're not super long term on this. Now, another option that you could do is trade AMZP. Look at that. Very similar chart pattern, but they also pay a weekly dividend of like 35 cents. I think it's weekly. I don't know. This might be monthly. What is this? That's December. Yeah, November. So they're paying 50 cents to 35 cents now per month, right? So you're getting a nice little dividend. They should be paying out soon again another 35 to 50 cents per share. That's this month. Not bad. So, you know, you could hold on and try to earn that dividend, or sell and just cash out, take your money and run, that kind of thing. They've been paying the dividend on the 11th, so I'm not sure. It just didn't show it, maybe, but I think maybe they paid the dividend and now it's going to continue up. So I don't know. Maybe if you have Amazon, I would consider, you know, doing something with that. Let's look at Netflix. And Netflix is interesting. It pulled back just slightly. It was at 103 yesterday, and you could see it's at the top of the value area. It's trying to cross this gap on its way back up to 120, and I think it'll make it up there. I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback, you know, a couple dollars, whatever, but I think Netflix has potential to continue to run. If I was looking to get in, I'd like to get in under 100, you know, but look at this trend. It's pretty strong. So will we get under 100? I don't know. You might just want to say 102 and take a couple shares long and see if you make them up to 120. That's what I see on Netflix. Let's look at SPY before the market opens. You can see we charted out different levels. And a lot of our levels have been obeying. So now, where do we see us going today? On the daily, you could see that we've peaked out at around 700 not long ago. We pulled back to 630. Looks like we're targeting back up there to the 696 level or whatever. So what I'd say is, let's look a little bit closer, but this looks like it would be the range somewhere between the bottom here of 675, and then, you know, we're the top yesterday was like, it was supported around 682, 683. We're at 688 now, targeting 692. So I'm aiming for 692 today on the S&P if we continue this trend. It is entirely possible that we come up all the way to the top, but I don't know how likely it is, given that some of those earnings pulled back last night. But again, looking at the hourly, we have support at 680, 629, 682, right? So let's look for what it's going to do today based upon how it breaks out of this area. So yesterday we went really sideways for a while. You could see that for a number of days we've just been going sideways. We may continue that. It doesn't it my chart is saying on the 1 hour everything is positive, that we have the potential, to go up about 1% or so, but and that's on the 1 hour. On the 15-minute, again, everything's hunky-dory, and we're targeting about a 1 to 1.5% gain today on SPY. So that would be, if we see a break below 686, that would probably be a negative number, and then you're going to target this 680. If not, if we break above, if we continue to break above this 688 that we are now, if we break above this, then we're easily targeting back up to that 692, 694 level, maybe even the 699, depending on, if the market just rallies, right? Because we've seen the market rally like it did on Tuesday, and it went from, 650 all the way up to 675. That's like 25-point move. On the other hand, on last Thursday, it moved 675 to 680, 5 points, right? 5 points up, 5 points down, 5 points up, another 5 points up. So what do we see? Maybe a 5-point move, or maybe a 5-point move down. Today it looks positive, so I'd say a 5-point move up, and we're at 688. So 688 plus 5, 693, right? Okay. So that's putting us right there at the top of this orange box, and that's, I think, our target for today on SPY. If we were looking at SPX trades very similarly, right? So let's zoom out on the daily just to show you. And again, I think we would target up here around 69.86. Whatever this 7,000 level is, basically, we would target on the SPX if you were targeting SPX. Let's take a look at the Qs. QQQ is at 620. It closed yesterday at 617. It spiked up overnight to 626 and pulled back. I would say that we're targeting that 626 easily today, given that we did have that spike. Look at that spike at, was that 4 o'clock yesterday? So we had a little bit of a bump up there, I guess, with the earnings stuff, and then it's kind of slid sideways. What I would expect is a pullback to the 616 level easily, and then, maybe continue up. So when the market opens in a few more minutes, we may see some volatility of, the market jumping around, but I think overall we're going to be in an okay place today in the market as a whole. I have some of these this watch list. Things that we need to consider is things that we need to consider today are factors of money tightness. And one of the concerns is that companies like Allstate and insurance companies like Progressive, they may not fare well going forward. They're okay right now. They're at 215. Let me just show you on the daily. They're up at the top. But if the market does fall and there are issues with credit, do they get pulled back, right? Does it get pulled back? By the way, I want to give a shout out to my boy Eddie. He's watching. Thank you very much. That's Grow My Bag. So if you're interested in crypto, Eddie has a great show on crypto, Grow My Bag. Check it out on YouTube and his website. So let's see, what else do we have today that we want to take a look at and bounce off of before the market opens. So just wanted to call out Allstate. it's high, right? You could see that it's above its 5200, which is good. The range didn't load yet, but it has good potential. But that what does that mean, right? And that my concern is that we've run that potential through, and now if you get in, that's when the major investors might get out, and just that's what scares me, right? Now, on the other hand, GE Vernova, they've been doing really well. Again, they been doing really well, and they're at 90%, 98% of their weekly range. So it makes me concerned to buy in at the top. Lockheed Martin, I think they're a great defense company. They are also at 75% of their range, not bad. They are kind of bearish at the moment. Doesn't mean that they're not going to recover, just means that's where they are. ServiceNow, however, I think they got beat up. I think they're way oversold, and I think ServiceNow, it's unfair. Like, so they're at 90. I think they recover. This is ridiculous. ServiceNow should not be this cheap. I charted it out based on different pattern, right? So you have this trend. It's been following somewhere between 180 and 240 over here. The bottom here now I have as 90 and 170. So we're at the bottom of this trend. We have a good support here at 81. We're off the bottom of support. We're at 90. Again, we're looking at the weekly trend. So this is a very, very long-term trend. And I think that ServiceNow really should not be this low. It really shouldn't be. But when I charted it out, what you could see is that in the past, so in 22, they fell this amount exactly, right? They went from 141 all the way down to this the $70 level. They halved basically. They did that again over here. They halved. Then they did that again right over here and halved. And you could see that I tried to kind of align these marks by the height of where they start and where they stop. So starting up here to the end over here, and that aligned pretty perfectly. I'm looking here and I'm saying, well, it looks like you have then another fall. Where did that other fall come from? Usually you would see it over here. I would have expected it to move that way, but it didn't. It buckled and fell right over there. Then, if I overlay it to the next peak, it looks like, we align to this level based on previous falls. So that's why I think, we're oversold on ServiceNow. I think that it's used. It's so cheap, it's used. Okay, so we need to maybe add something like a ServiceNow to our index of companies we want to track. Memory is really important, and in the case of AI computing, and well, forget AI computing, all computing, you need memory, right? That's sometimes I need memory. Well, okay, there's a new ETF, Round Hill Memory ETF, called DRAM. They opened up at, I think it was 25 or 14, I think they opened up, I don't remember. Anyway, they're up at 34 right now, and I think they're going to only continue. Now, what does DRAM hold in it? They hold SanDisk memory, they hold Micron, they hold Skyhinks, I think. So they have a bunch of assets. Their management fee is pretty low. It's, I think, at 0.6%, which is not bad. Under 1% is not a bad management fee. You could buy something like this Round Hill ETF, and I think the memory itself has potential. So if we looked at Micron, let's take a look at Micron and see what Micron's doing. Micron had their little dip, right? They were on a long trend up. They had their dip down. They reached into this bottom of this value area, kind of into the gap almost, a little bit below support. I don't know why they plummeted so hard, but they had earnings, and I think people were just taking profit, pulled back. They recovered really nicely. They're back at 435. They're up $10 overnight. And it looks like they might continue up on their trend. So Micron looks like it has room. Now, SanDisk, on the other hand, they're exploding. Look at this. They're at 966. They were at 950 yesterday, and they're just on a tear up. This has to do with the memory shortage. Does this continue? Does the memory shortage continue? Do they resolve it? I don't know. But at the moment, the oil crisis has limited shipments of energy going out to Taiwan and China. And so what happens? Are they able to continue manufacturing? Will they get their oil from somewhere else? And will this continue? And will we continue to see pressure on memory? I do believe we will, because AI is pushing memory prices up, and AI I don't think is going anywhere. So we're getting more efficient at AI. They're trying to build more efficient models. But guess what? Models have to have information, which is gigabytes and gigabytes of information. So you have to have storage for it. And then you also need to have the memory recall for the computer to pull it out of storage and do the processing. And these massive servers, what you have to understand is these servers are massive. These are not like your home computer. They don't just have 16 gigs of RAM. So these are really high-powered machines that need lots and lots of memory. SPY just opened up for the morning. Let's see what's going on. It's at 688. We're up $1.70, about 1/4%. Let's go back to the big board and see what's going on. The NASDAQ is up 0.5%. The Russell's up 0.75%. The Dow is flat, and it's trying to hold on, while the S&P is up 1/4%. Copper is up over $6, and that's what I've been saying it's going to do. We do have a little recovery in natural gas because it was oversold yesterday. Yesterday I was talking about that in the morning. I said it looked a little bit oversold and cheap, but I wasn't ready to buy it because, summer, warm weather and stuff like that. I just wasn't ready to play with it. Oil is continuing to fall. It's back under $100 a barrel. It's at 95.76, 75. It's a great place for oil to be right now, considering everything else. And that's what I see there. So now, Bitcoin's up at 74,800. It's up 1.75%. Solana's at 86. I've been saying I wanted to buy Solana under 80. It didn't reach under 80 yesterday. It approached 80. It was in the 80 75 or whatever it was, but I didn't pick it up. I was really hoping to get below 80 on that before I bought in Solana. So that's Solana. It looks like the Dow is pulling back off of the earlier gains. The S&P is holding at 1/4%. Nasdaq's up 0.5%. So is the Russell, which I guess is pulling back just slightly. And that's what I thought would happen. I said, we're going to have a little bit of movement. And let's see what else we've got going on today. Let's pull up the big board here so you can keep an eye on the big board. I'm going to take a look at the small board here and see what I can do. So now, what do I have? So I mentioned U earlier. U is up today another 2%. So U is up at 49.50. Here's U. And we're looking for it to break above 50 and continue up to 55. But in the event that it does not, I'm targeting, let's say, on the upside, this 55 level in the next month. I think that's fair. Maybe it gets a little higher, but let's say it goes to 55. And, just why not? I'm going to secure a call on the position, selling up here around 55 and I'll gain a couple of dollars just of cash to hold. If U continues to go up, I will lose that, but I'll have secured some extra money in the meantime for my trading. GFL, which was down this morning, is coming back. It's up 0.5% back to 39.13, and I think it'll have potential to keep coming back. BTU is not doing too well. I mentioned BTU I might have to give it up. It's down 2% to under 28, and I don't really like that level. So I have a level here of like 27.60. If it falls much below here, I will I might close my position. So let's do this. We're going to set an alert, and this is what we need to do. So sell BTU. There you go. Now I have an alert set. If it crosses below my alert, it'll let me know. I don't have to do the sale if I feel like, well, something's going on. But otherwise, if I want to, I can. I think we're going to have some turn back up on Peabody. So let's see what happens with that. U is coming back. Smucker's is coming back just slightly. It's up 0.2%. Tesla's up slightly. Let's take a look at Tesla this morning. Tesla's at 360. It's up 2%, and it's working its way back up. It did not break over its trend line for the daily, but we looked at Tesla earlier, and until it does, I wouldn't say it's in a recovery mode yet. I do like that channel 1 is positive on the 1 hour, but we're coming close to this resistance level of about 364. So we've got about another $10 on the upside, which is about 3% higher. We can get 3% higher, and then I think we have some resistance. Amazon as well. I said, I don't know what's going on with Amazon. Amazon's a monster. Look at this AMZP. It's at 27.6. It's up 2.5%. Looking at the daily, just to show you where we are, we're all the way back up to the top here on this monster. On the daily trends, channels 2 and 3 are down, channel 1 is up. We're meeting that channel 3 top, and that usually is a sign for some sort of like break, right? It's going to stop here, kind of. I don't know, but that's what I usually see. Even on the 4 hour, we broke up, and the high is like 28 on AMZP. So now let's look at AMZN, Amazon itself, and just see if that kind of aligns as well. And it does, right? We cross this area. We are peaking back at where we were in January, where we were in November, and it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go back up and over, especially unless we have a major recovery in the economy, right? So we've just been, I call this people call this barcoding up and down, or kangarooing, or whatever you want to call it, but it's not like very confidence inspiring. So if you're in it, hang on to it, but be prepared for a precipitous fall if it does fall. Ingersoll Rand, also, they've been doing pretty well. Let's take a look here on the daily for Ingersoll Rand. I'm targeting somewhere in the $5. Not Ingersoll Rand, ING Real Estate. Sorry, terrible. I'm expecting a target of around $5. We're at 470 right now, and I'm looking for us to continue on IGR. Western Union is up today slightly. I'm targeting about 9.5 on Western Union to $10. It gives us about 10% upside still left on Western Union. If I zoom out on the weekly, you can see we really do belong closer to the $12 range than we do down here in the $9 range. So there is room for Western Union to continue growing, I think, right? And so let's see what happens with Western Union. Let's take a look at Meta. Meta is at 646. It's up 2% today. And if we go in on the 1 hour, you can see we're kind of been trading in this zone. It's a big zone, but it's a zone. It's a channel sideways. All right, let's go to the 4 hour, just get a little better picture. It's been this downtrend. It's forming a flag. So what we're looking for is the breakout of the flag to continue going back up. And, the bounce off of this bottom and breaking through here is a good sign. But as you can see, we've broken up above this line a couple times, but we haven't held. And that's the key, is that we have to see some sort of major recovery on Meta. If I zoom out on the monthly, just to give you the picture, you could see how we've generally in the months since 24 have observed this main channel here. There's an upper channel and a lower channel. We're in the lower channel now, and we're trying to break back up to the top of this channel. So I would target 750 on Meta, based on this in the short term to regain that level, and then it could continue back up, to 800 or wherever from there. But right now, that's all that I see on that. Now that it's 940 and we've kind of cleared the opening range, let's take a look at the Dow. We're up 1/3% on the Dow. Initially, we were flat in the morning. We're looking for it to continue this trend, and let's see if it goes. It broke up above this support, and it's running. So I don't think we're gonna continue necessarily. This is a big pop. I want to see it pull back a little bit before it continues running. I don't know, unless it just keeps running. Something happened that I think it's just running right now. The Dow is catching up. NASDAQ is, let's see, the NASDAQ went up over its range, and now it's looking like it wants to recover and continue going back up. Let's look at the S&P. The S&P is pushing highs. Again, it looks like it has to pull back to this support. I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback to here, to 69.47. Or if it breaks out above here, we might just continue. Let's buy one, see how it goes. It's running. It'll probably reverse down now. Yeah, I don't like it, but let's see. Now that I bought it, it's definitely going to go down. That's just the way it happens. I'll make coffee and it'll reverse out. But let's see. Let me pull up the big board for a second. We should watch what the tick is doing. The tick is settling a little bit, so I'm expecting the S&P to pull back just slightly. The VIX though is holding at under 19, so we're at 18.25. I think that's good. The tick is falling back, so now I'm seeing the other indexes kind of again pulling back. I got a little exuberant to get in a little early. That just happens. That's what I do. But let's give it a minute. I think on the day we should be good. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go pour another cup of coffee and I'll be right back, folks. up, babe? Hi, Harley. Hi. You want attention? Yeah. I'll make you some coffee. Hi, babe. Hey, Okay, it looks like we're continuing the move up. Let's see how it goes. On the 1 minute, you could see that we've reached some sort of peak. Let's see. We'll zoom out to the 5. The 5 will just show you a little bit better consistency, but we ran up over this level. Okay, so let's see. Autopilot had some new trades come in today. Let's see what they're looking at. You know, one of the things I did want to look at, speaking of which, was Oscar Health. I was in Oscar a while back. Let's see. 5 minutes, they're doing really well. They're up 1.5%. They've been trading this range of 13 to 15, so maybe they're ready to break out of that range. It does look like that. What a jump. Yeah, that would have been great at 13 to buy them. Not as excited at 15 on this downward trend. But let's see. Maybe they recover because they're going to have, I think, some significant investments. And if healthcare recovers this year because it was beat up, maybe they see 18 is another $3 at 20% higher. That's what I see on that. Let's see what Autopilot had for us this morning. Autopilot. So I see that Autopilot, Michael Seikind, had some trades, but I don't know if they were today. It says that they came in today, but it's just showing me old trades. Let's see. View the new positions. So the new positions are Nebius, Amazon, Palantir, ELV. He got rid of Stars. He got rid of Palo Alto, and he sold off ServiceNow. He increased his position in Glitter, in Wolf, in Microsoft, in BN, in Lilly, in MCO, in Regeneron. Reduced positions in Iron, Meta, AMD, Broadcom, Nvidia, Mercado Libre, and Grab is the same. Um, Grab has been doing crap. Grab has not been doing well. They're up 3% today, so that's good. But this is just a terrible trend. They were at 6 and they're at 3.5 now. They're really have themselves. They had support, I thought, at about 380, and it looks like they're just clearing above support now. And maybe this is their turnaround. I don't know, but you know, I still like ServiceNow. I don't know why he's selling ServiceNow. Um, I understand. I understand about getting like pairing off Broadcom a little bit. They're really high, and at 380, I mean they're an integral part of the ecosystem, but how are they priced based relative to the chart? And they're high, right? They had this big jump up. Um, they might continue. I don't know, but this is not like when I'm like I don't know, because look at that's like nice, and then that's a big multi-month flag down. We're back up at the top of the flag. Does that mean that we're done with this pattern? I don't know. Do we can we break out of it? Clearly, there is some resistance at this 380 level. So with market uncertainty, and I still think we're in for some sort of oil shock in the market and possible recession coming up, that I'm a little concerned. I don't like buying tops, but you could see in the past, even we had a big dip in in the beginning of the year, and it more than recovered. So maybe there's continuation here. Let's take a look at XLK. XLK is up 0.5% today. It's a very, very similar shape as Broadcom on the weekly, and that should tell you a lot. Now, what we've seen in the past is some sideways movement, and then before there's going to be the next blast off, and that's what I would expect. So if you have some XLK, I might even consider taking some profit here. Let's see what XLF is doing. XLF is flat for the day. I kind of expected it. We're at a resistance level. You could see it baked in. Again, I'm looking at the weekly, because what I want you to realize is that really strong trends happen on the weekly. Short-term trades happen on smaller time frames, but long-term trades, we're looking at weekly charts and looking for the continuation. So where you see a pullback under a trend on something like XLF, which only has a very strong positive trend, that's when you buy, right? So when it hit 41, you bought. When it hit 47, not a bad place to buy. It's at 51 now. Let's see if it can recover back up to the 55 level. But right now, I'm not so convinced. I don't know, whether it's going to break above this 50, even 50. It has to break first 53. Like, we are not even at 53 yet. So we got to get to 53 first on XLF. The Russell's pushing 0.8% up. So is the NAS. The S&P is at 0.5% up, and the Dow is at 0.25% up. Take a look at how our Dow is doing on the 1 minute. It looks like we peaked up here and pulled back. On the ES, it looks like we're just kind of holding here at my entry. So let's see if we can break above it. but right now it's just holding. It does appear that the Russell is trying to break out, but even still, we haven't broken out of that opening range. NASDAQ has broken out of the opening range. We're pulling back just slightly to the initial level here of the opening range, which would be 25,727. So I like where we are on the NASDAQ. Let me go back to the S&P. The S&P, remember S&P has that struggle. It's married to both the NASDAQ and to the Dow. So what both are doing, it kind of gets pulled because of the components that are in it. S&P has shared components between the Dow and the NASDAQ. Right now, all the indexes are just slightly pulling back, just like quarters of a percent. So and so it looks like some of these positions are performing that I mentioned earlier, and some less so. So what do we have on IGR? My daily directional for real estate. We're at $4.70 today. I don't know that they have any options. They don't really have options. Let's pull out to the 4 hour. Yeah, we're at a resistance level on IGR where you could see that we're right in the meat of the value area. These channels 2 and 3 are down, and we're meeting at 1 going up. This this is that. Look at that pattern. Dip and came right back up. So what are we targeting on IGR? Let's take a look a little bit wider again on the daily. I would love to see it come back up to 5. Another 30 cents. Maybe even another $1. Might be able to do that. Let's see. Oh, Google. Google is being very googly. Google's back up at 325, 327. Okay. It is being very googly. I like Google. I think Google, when they pulled back, that was really a value buy. A little bit scary because you see the big dip, but Google just long term, they are an amazing, amazing company, right? They have so much data. They have so much of your information besides their processing power, besides that you use them, right? They're there, they're embedded, and they're bullish. I'm just glad that they're coming back. All right, what's next? Our ES position is just holding flat. Let's see if we got anything come up on our scanner. Nothing came up on the scanner, it looks like. What is USAS doing? I think I sold it yesterday. Of course, it's up 6.5% today. Wow. Dang it. I sold it yesterday. Didn't I? Yeah, I think so. I just wanted to generate some cash. Oh well. It's okay to miss out on some upside. That's quite all right. Meanwhile, U is doing well. GFL is not. BTU is not. Smuckers is coming back just slightly. Tesla's up. Western Union's up. Amazon is up. Google is up. Healthcare is up slightly. The euro is still holding at 1.18. Copper is up. And let's go looking at some of our positions. Because one of the things I really want to do is I want to be a little bit more nimble, taking profit, closing things out when we have profit. Just because the market has been very, very difficult. Philip Morris has pulled back about 2% today. So we're flat on that position. Comcast is up slightly. So some of the positions that we bought recently, we sold, took profit on. ServiceNow is trying to recover. I think we've got Grab is up almost 3% today. IREN is up 7% today. Those are some big movers. Tempest AI is up over 5% today as well. They're up at $48.55. Dexcom, that's another one that I think is an interesting buy. They make diabetes monitors. They're up, well, they're basically break even, but I think long term they do have some potential. SoFi is up 5.5% today. So we have some movement. Let's see. BN is up 2% today. NVIDIA is up 1%. CIFR is up almost 5%. Definitely some movement. Capital One Finance is up about 1%. So that's part of the, whole XLF package. And Cisco is up 1%. That was another buy that I had opened up recently. So we've got some good movement today on our positions. Let's bring back our main board. This is much more exciting. Looking at the Russell up 0.9%. The ES is up 0.5%, NASDAQ 7.7%, and the Dow is up 0.4%. So far, the S&P is disappointing me this morning. Like, I need it to kind of like wake up. Let's go. Come on, buddy. We can do it. You can do it. Right? Okay. So enough of that. We do need, though, the continuation. So let's see. I don't have anything popping up yet, do I? Oh, I do. Enphase Energy came up on my daily scanner. Let's see what Enphase looks like. Enphase Energy, we're at 3160. Basically, it looks like we're flat for the day. We did have, I don't know, look at this crazy run. I mean, it was up at 340 at one point in 23. And we're down to 30 now. We're at 9% of the yearly range. Let's see if we have a price target. So Deutsche Bank has a price target of about 39. Barclays has 31. Susquehanna has 36. Jeffries has 54, but that's probably outside, the range of normal. Um, I would say the numbers that were probably closer to 10 to 20% higher are more accurate. So now if I go zoom in on the daily, we'll just walk ourselves in. We're looking, let's say, I think we should target this 36 number. Not a bad idea. I'd like to get in, anywhere closer to 30, but we're a dollar off of the bottom. I think it's an interesting possible recovery and phase energy. Let's take a look at Akamai Technologies. Again, another one that had a significant fall. I think we're near support, right? This looks like we fell down all the way near support. I would say I'd prefer my entry at the bottom of the value area, which would be closer to the 86 level than the 91. But wow, what a crazy fall. Why did Akamai fall so hard? I'm curious. Let's see if we can find out a reason here. So I guess because SAS, Piper Sandler adjusted their target to 114. Who else? Piper Sandler had them at 100. Interesting. So now they pushed them up to 114. TD Cowen had them at 100. I'd like to see UBS has 110. RBC has them at 100. Everscore 115. Goldman Sachs has them at 76. Now that's more concerning because Goldman has them at 76. I wonder what Morgan has them. Morgan has them at 120. This is the this is the craziest range. It's like one bank thinks they're going to go bankrupt and the other bank thinks they're going to go to the sky. I don't know. This is now granted we're talking about deltas of time, but I almost want to buy like one share. But the thing is this. Okay, now I wanna point out this. Look at the daily chart. It's a really bad bear candle. The low is lower. The high, it's almost like an engulfing candle, but it's breaking below. So what I would like to see is on the hourly some sort of turnaround. This ain't it. It looked like we tried yesterday. Don't know why such a precipitous fall today. This is really really odd, right? I mean, like if we went down this far and then we bumped up and we back down, I'm not really sure what's going on with Akamai. I wonder if we can ask Claude. I think Claude might know. What's going on with Akamai stock today? Maybe Claude can figure it out. So, I see. So there was this slide was tied to Palo Alto, Anthropic, and CrowdStrike issues. Um, I think that they're oversold, and I think we should pick up a few shares. So, you know what? Let's add some shares of Akamai, if I have bandwidth. Let me just see. Okay. So you know what we'll do? Let's buy 2 shares of Akamai. Right? We don't have to buy a lot. We can just buy 1 share if we wanted to, or 2 shares. It doesn't matter. That's the wonderful thing, is that you're buying percentages based upon what you have available in your account, and that's it. You don't have to like really kill yourself wondering that how much you have to spend, and you're like, oh, I can't buy a lot of this because I don't have a lot of money. But that's not really important. You buy 1 share, 2 shares. Sometimes you just play the percentages, and you keep it moving. It just depends on how much money you have. If you've got a lot of money, then you buy more. If you don't got a lot of money, then you don't buy more. And really simple as that. Okay, let's see what else is up on the scanner. We had end phase as well. End phase is at 31.59. They're off. Let's see if we have any news on end phase. End phase, I said we had price targets anywhere between 30 and 39. So back up to here. This 1 hour does look like it's trying to recover. So maybe end phase would be interesting. Let's go back to our ES position. We're continuing the upward trend. We're up still for the day. I'll take profit soon. And you could trail your there's 2 different ways, right? You could trail up and just make sure it doesn't collapse, or you set a price target on the top and you say, I don't want it to, I want to take profit at that price. Looking at the 5-minute, I just put a really tight stop on because why not? The market has not been moving so huge every day, so we're up 0.5%. I'll take it. I'm taking it. That's it. We're out. Flatten that out. We're good. We made $40 today on the one trade, on the one contract. That's it. Not a lot of money, but it was only one contract. And you can scale that up to multiple contracts. Right? So that's how these day traders make a lot of money, is they get better at making small trades. You can make moves that you don't have to make huge moves. It's nice, but you can make small moves and still generate some money. I know it's only $40. I'm not going crazy here, but I do this also to show you what you can do and how you can do it, to give you that perspective, right? Now, GFL, I said I was going to keep an eye on. I'm not really happy with how it's doing. It pulled back some today. BTU pulled back today as well. And I guess that's tied to the oil story. Western Union is continuing to run, and that's okay. Tesla's up. IGR's, well, IGR is still flat for the day. Didn't really do a whole lot. It's up 0.5%. I don't like this market today. It really looks like it's struggling to get above this level. Now, it did break the 465. That break above 465 was important, but it's at the top of this value area. I prefer to buy at the bottom of the value area. Now, on the other hand, you could see structurally we have a trend. So let's zoom out a little bit and let's go to the weekly and see if we have anything here. We have this very much, ooh, I don't even know. Like, I want to say you have one channel here. It's just this sideways movement. I don't like it. Okay. And we've had this very long trend going down for years. Wow. On real estate. But I do think real estate is working its way back up. So now, why do I think it's going to work its way back up, and what does it hold? So this is the important thing. What are the holdings of IGR? Let's take a look, because that could give us an indication of what we should be trading. So IGR is run by CBRE. CB Richard Ellis, right? Is that it? Or CB, I don't know, CBRE. Okay, what's their holdings? Let's take a look. This is what's important. Welltower, Equinix, AMT, Simon Property, Sun Communities, Extra Space Storage, CubeSmart, VICI. Okay, I like some of these companies, right? So now that tells you a little bit about what they're investing in. These are different data centers, right? Like Equinix. But you have Welltower, which sets up, I think, healthcare facilities. Simon Property Group has a lot of strip malls, and Extra Space Storage and CubeSmart is that self-storage stuff. So those are really great. These don't go away, right? Everybody needs storage. AMT, they make the radio towers for cell towers. So I like AMT as well. I think they have, as well potential. VICI, they do property leasing, and they also pay a nice dividend. So, you could go ahead and buy the individual assets, I think, but it's easier sometimes to buy the ETF and run it that way. Now, look, you could look. This is the 10-year performance of this ETF. It hasn't been spectacular. I'm not going to say it has, but what I would say is you look for dips. So when you see a big dip, that's when you should be buying and then selling at the top. And it does look like, if you look at this, we're near some sort of top, but I think it has a little more room to run. So that's IGR, right? So we can look also at the individual investments like Welltower or AMT just to get an idea of how they're doing. So here's IGR, but now let's look at AMT, because you can invest directly in AMT. AMT looks good for 220 as a price target, right? They kind of move sideways. You buy them when they're at 170 and you sell them when they're in the 200s, and you just kind of play the range. They have a price target of 210. So there's a good reason that they should be, in a year from now back at the 210 level, and with relative with relative ease and not worrying too much. And it pays a little dividend, so you got that going for you. Today's the dividend day, a buck 80. So let's say, just I want to put this out there. Let's say you bought this at about 170, right? You bought 100 shares at 170. That's 17,000, and then you would get today another 180 bucks. I mean, it's not a lot, right? 180 bucks when you invested 17 grand, but you're also looking at the return of maybe 21 grand, right? Plus the 180, maybe 3 or 4 times, so like another 600 bucks. So, it's again not a lot of money, but that's an extra $600 plus the gain of like another 3 grand. So it gives you an extra like percentage boost, right? So you go from 3 grand to 3,600 on your uptake because of the dividend. That's how I like to play that. Let's look at VICI just to see how they're doing. I thought they were beat up, but I haven't checked on them in a while. Yeah, they're going sideways. Look at that on the weekly. You want to buy them closer to 26.83. They are currently at 28. This is a sort of resistance level for them. If they can break out above here, then I could see 32 on the top side, and that's actually where their price target is. It's around 33, 34. So there is room to go up. Plus, they pay the dividend. So again, this is the kind of thing you might want to buy the ETF, but then you may want to just buy the individual stock, just because then you don't need them to manage it for you if you know what you're doing, right? You could buy the VICI all on your own. You could buy O Realty all on your own. O Realty is another one of those holdings, I think, in IGR. But look, the advantage is that IGR trades at $4 versus $63 for O, or VICI was 28, right? You could buy 100 shares now at $4. You can't. It's not always easy to buy 100 shares. $2,800, right? 3 grand. So just depends how much money you're ready to put into the market and to see what happens. Let's go back to the S&P and see what the S&P is doing today. You can see we're on this tear up. Pull back into the 1 minute, see how we're doing. Yeah, we're holding there. It looks like we had that little dip where we took some profit just a little bit ago, and it might continue on from here. I don't know. It's only 10:20 in the morning. A lot of times we look for some sort of 10:30 a.m. reversal. So you never know what the market's going to do. Yeah. Okay, U is continuing to do well. GFL is not doing so well today. BTU is definitely not doing well today. Smuckers is trying to come back. My Tesla is trying to come back. IGR is okay. Western Union's okay. And let's see. I want to pull up my. I don't know. So I'm looking. I picked up those 2 shares of Akamai. We're up $2 already. I didn't have much purchasing power in this account to buy more. I don't know why, because I did clear out a lot of positions, so I should have cash, but it looks like my buying power is not there yet. The problem with the cash account is that you have to wait for the transactions to settle until you're able to use the cash again. So I had sold off a bunch of things to generate cash, but the positions did not settle yet. And this is why, by the way, it's important for you to keep cash in your account, never to like really overspend it, because if you overspend it, you just that's it. You can't take advantage of opportunities. Oh man, did not mean to do that. Okay. So the ES is holding here. It kind of, you can see it's pulling sideways now, like it did early from 9:45 till 10:15. Kind of went sideways. Just wasn't sure what to do. All right. Yeah, I don't see the S&P moving right now. It's kind of holding, pulling back a little, just in time for 10:30. What's Amazon doing? Amazon was up at 247 earlier. It pulled back just a little bit. Let's look at Amazon on the daily. Looks like we're up pretty high. I like Amazon long term, but does it stay here? Do we have a price target on Amazon? Let's see. We're at 245. Amazon's price target, dum ba da dum, about 275. So 35 points higher. Let's see what that looks like on the weekly. Another 35 points would put us up into this range. So if I duplicated this box and I put it here, they're looking for somewhere like this to happen. They're looking for us to break this 250 range and go up to 280. So that's how they're doing this estimate, right? Now, you could see we've kind of touched the top of that box. I think we come back to the bottom of our box before we go back up to the top of that box, but I don't know. Here we did that, right? We had spike up, did not break the high. We didn't break that high. In fact, we're not breaking the previous high of 248 on Amazon. So if we don't break that previous high, I don't think this continues. I think that this kind of 249, I think we get like another $4 up, and which is another 2% maybe, and then we fizzle. We just have not been we've not been holding. I think I'm going to take my my profit here. We're at 27.64. I had it at 27.70. Let's see. What is Amazon going to do? Do you think Amazon's going to pop up a little bit more? If it does, we'll close. Let's see. I want cash. Money. I want money. That's what I want. I just closed my Western Union position. I closed the Amazon, just taking some profit, generating some cash. Looks like the ES is pushing up again. We're up at 0.7. So it looks like we pull back to here, and now we're pushing back up a little bit. We're not quite breaking the high of the day, but we're trying. I have a buy signal on you that just came up, but let's see what else. N phase and Akamai are coming up. N phase is up now pretty significantly for the day, 2.75%. You know, when we were looking at it earlier, we were at 31. So it's up $1 since the warning that we should buy. So look at that. It's continuing to go. And I think that, let's zoom out for a second, right? We're at 32, and it really does have the potential to come back to 37. It's like a 20% run. Plus, they pay a dividend. Okay. So now what I'm looking at is maybe buying. Let's buy. I'd like to buy here and, under the 31, under 32, I'd like to get in, but let's see if it pulls a little bit back. Buy some, and then maybe we'll ride this. Maybe we can ride this up. 4-hour trend is down. Let's see the 1 hour. Do we have that turn? We have the turn on the 1 hour, and the entry is really closer to 30.76 is where we should be entering. At the bottom of the candle, not the top. I don't like to buy tops, but let's see. It has the potential. So let's see. What's the bottom on N phase? Let's just look at the bottom on N phase to see how far we might fall, and that's 30. So $2 down. What I would consider is, let's say, buying the shares and selling the 40 in May, You get about $1, a little less than $1, which would protect you about 50 cents on the downward move to 30. If you move that out to June and sold to 40, you're looking at about $1.80, $1.70, right? So if we had a target of 36 to 39, let's say we want to sell that 35 then, and we can get $3 for it. And that would really protect us to the downside on that. Of course, we would lose out if it goes above our number, but you know, it does look like that June call with 2 months out would give us, a lot of protection. Or we could do the 35 for May and get close to $2. So it might make sense to do that. Let's say we buy the 100 shares now and then just sell the call. And you can see Enphase is ripping. It doesn't want to stop here. Let's see if we can't get a bite. Because then I'll just sell the call and I'll be happy to make like the 2% or whatever it is in the month. And then in the meantime, do they pay a dividend? I don't even know. I'm just curious. Enphase. So no dividend. Interesting. So Enphase does like solar, it looks like. Morningstar has them as a 4-star. So the Morningstar report is 4-star. Market Edge, Schwab, equity ratings, those are all lower. Let's take a look. I'm just curious. What does Seeking Alpha say about Enphase? By the way, they did have on Seeking Alpha CSTM as a pick. Constellium? CSTM. Yeah. At 30. So why are they buying CSTM? They removed Pilgrim's Pride. CSTM makes aluminum. And you can see they've really run up pretty high. I don't have a price target for them, but I'm not buying it. It's too high. I could be wrong. I mean, I must be wrong because it still has like this great rating. I don't know what their profit target is, or their price target is. I keep saying profit price. I don't know what their price target is, but I think they've jumped it. So, if anything, I'd be short this now. I don't think that's so good. Let's go back to Enphase, and I'm gonna just see what Seeking Alpha says about Enphase. Sometimes they have like their good quant analysis. So their quant is to hold, not to buy. There are some buyers, maybe a short squeeze for this year. Let's see. Do we have... They have a 20% short interest. Let's go back to Enphase. All right, so we just filled on end phase. Let's see how that goes. We're going to sell in a little bit now a call on the position to secure the position. I'm going to sell the 35 and I'm going to look to get I'm going to look to get about $2, a little bit over $2 if I can on this. Now, what does that mean? Means I'm protected to about 37. I believe that we've got definitely the potential on end phase to get to that 39 target. So I would be giving up about $2 potentially on the table, but it also kind of secures my position if it doesn't work out, right? It's one way or another. So I sold the 35 for a month from now, which really gives me $2. I didn't sell it yet, but I would, and it would give me protection to about 37, which looks like, you know, the bottom of this value area is top of this value area. Yeah. If I look at the monthly, or I mean the weekly, the daily chart, but now you can see months range. 37 would be the magnet. And I would say, you know, we should, if we extrapolated this line out to here, we should hit 37 by the end of next month. So, you know, we have the potential to make a couple percent. And that's all I'm looking for on this, right? We're looking to make a couple percent here and there. If you make 2% a month, that's 25% a year, right? So now, meaning if I just make 2% on this stock, plus I make another 2% on the option that I sold, that's 4% in a month, and that would be pretty good, right? So that would mean I made like, I could be making a lot more money than just, you know, the 25% a year. I could be making 50% a year, or maybe even higher, just selling options, buying decent positions, making 2% here and there. You don't have to always, you know, swing for the fences, so they say in baseball, right? Sometimes we can just try to get a base hit, and that's sometimes what I'm just really trying to do, is get those base hits. You know, and I'm looking for some sort of recovery. Now BTU is not doing well today. We're down about $50, you could see, and it didn't trigger my sell yet, so we're okay for now on that. The S&P pulled back. It's at 0.6% up, and that's where we left it earlier. And let's see if we got any other alerts that came up. We bought a couple of Akamai, and we bought some of that end phase. Akamai I'm a little bit more concerned about. You know, I bought like 2 shares. I think I'm looking for it to really come back down to this 86 level for support on Akamai. So I'm not really ready to buy that yet. But it is sort of interesting. I'd like to see a turnaround. Okay. Let's take a look at some photonics, because this is the hottest area in the market. And I want to take a look at AAOI. They're off 2.5% today, but you can see they're at 150. In November, they were a $20 stock. Go figure, right? Look at this meteoric rise. It's a little bit crazy. Another one is COHR, Photonic. Coherent, they're up 1% today at 311. Again, I just feel like this is high. I don't know. Does it make sense to be this high? Let's look at Wolf. They're up 3.5% today. Looks like they jumped the shark as well. Let's look at BN today. Another 3% up. Brookfield, I do expect them to continue. You could see the hook on that, and it's turning like straight up. Let's look at Lilly. Lilly's at 935. They're up 0.5% today. I think that Lilly is ready for a turn back up. They bounced off of their $863 level, which is the 50% on the Fibonacci. Recovered to 935. They're above I think they're above the daily. Let's see, trend line. No, they're just below the daily trend line. Daily trend line would have it at 946. Let me just see. Their 1 hour is also still down, so it's not super confident inspiring. But this is more about longer term play. So I would like to get in closer to 920 if you're looking for an entry into Lilly. But anywhere here, 920, 930, you're it's such an inconsequential, like a couple percent here and there. And if you're looking for 20% gains, 1 or 2% may not make the biggest difference. But Lilly is also looking kind of interesting as well to add to Lilly. Let's look at Moody's. Moody's is off 0.25% today. On the 1 hour, you can see they're just going sideways. High is 450, low is 420. 30-point range, less than 10% range, and it's really been holding even tighter than that in general. It's been holding between 430 and 440, so it's like a 10-point range. I'm not too excited about Moody's at the moment, but this is more of a longer term play, and I think you add in at 420, and then we're looking for the 500s. So let's take a look at Regeneron, another healthcare company. Regeneron, look at that. They're around 754 right now, which puts them midstream in this value area. I'm not buying Regeneron here, not selling it here. I would buy it at 740 and sell it at 780. What do we think about AMD? AMD 250. It really popped. Look at that. What's NVIDIA doing today? It's up 2% to 193. Okay. I'm thinking if you have NVIDIA, just because I don't know what the market's doing, it might not be the worst day to secure some profit and just play it safe, so to speak. So Palantir is up almost 4% today. Hmm. Look at Jets for a second. Jets is up 4% today to 27. I'm looking for 29 on Jets. Yeah, so we're targeting Jets in the 30s by June. Let's look at Palantir because they're up today and they're up 2.5%. They're at the top of this little local area. They broke above this support of 133. They might cross back up above this value area gap. I kind of like it. I want to buy, I think, Palantir. It's like another. Hmm. Hmm. Broadcom's at 380. Sell Broadcom, comma, buy Palantir. I think that's the play. Just to take some profit. What's DY doing? They're also going. I think DY is going to go another 40 points. They got 10% to go. What's this ERII? Energy Recovery Inc. We're targeting 15. So they still have more to go. EWY 144. This is Korea, South Korea ETF, and I'm targeting this like 170s. I'd like to add to Lily as well. MP Materials, we're going to target 70 on this. We're in it. Um, we're in it from a little bit lower, about 54. So let's target 70 on MP. Where are we with Novo Nordisk? Novo Nordisk, it's a very long term hold for me, and I just sat through this whole slide down. Um, I didn't adjust as I should have. I added as it went down, so I reduced my average price, but I'm still underwater a little bit, a lot of bit on Novo Nordisk because of the whole GLP-1 fiasco with HIMS and everything like that. Will Novo Nordisk recover? It should come back to 47, which is let's see what they have as a price target on them now, because a lot of this has to do. I mean, a lot of this has to do with this whole GLP-1 thing, and not everyone's sure where it's going, right? Um, so let's see if I can't find another price target for NVO. The Wall Street Journal. Let's see what they got. Three months ago was overrate. Now it's on hold. Price targets range between 27 and 70. 70 is where I would probably target. Some have it at 45. It's at 38 now. So it's a matter of still being able to hold it. The question is, when did those ratings come out and who rated it? So I'd like to see if we can find some more information about the Novo Nordisk ratings. Let's see. Seeking Alpha, do they have anything? They're saying 66 to 47 with at least a 20% upside. So it's worth kind of holding Novo Nordisk here. There's 9 holds and 4 strong buys. It looks like Wall Street, it doesn't have a quant cover here. Interesting. It's an interesting position. I don't know that I love it on Novo Nordisk. So we're in it. That's the problem. We're in it. Now it's interesting. With the war, I thought aerospace would be doing really well, but it hasn't. Aerospace has kind of been going sideways, and you can actually see since the war started, they went down. It's almost as if someone had advanced knowledge and was preparing for this, right? I don't know. Look at this crazy dip, but we're coming back, and I think we're targeting much higher. 12% higher at least. You can see channel 3 is pointing to the 200 level, and it's a nice round number. So let's say we're going to aim for another 12% higher. Thermo Fisher Scientific is a company I kind of like. I was underwater for a little bit on them. Just bought a couple shares. They went down a little bit. Now we're back up again. I think it's on its track to go back up to about 600. If I'm looking at the chart, and so if we just plug that into here, $750 to $650, at least a 20% upside, and I'm seeing at least 600. So that's a good sign that we have room to go up. They do have earnings coming up on April 23rd in less than 10 days. So you might want to be mindful of that. Now, one of those things that I think you should just have as part of your portfolio is exposure to international stock market, the XUS, and currently, we're at about 82.74. It's 82.73 rather. Well, we're up 1%. You could see we took a big dip down to 74. That was when the whole market just went and now we're kind of breathing again. We're coming back up and we're making that V shape, right? So if we've done that V shape before, then it explodes. V shape explodes. Big V shape, maybe big explode. I don't know, but that could be the potential for the international market ex-US, right? It's outside the US, and that's the important part, is that we have international exposure to our portfolio. And that's what we're looking for. A little bit of international, a little bit of US, and you play a little bit. Now the thing is in general, when you have your stock market positions, you don't want to match the S&P, because then you might as well just buy SPY, right? You're trying to beat it. So the key factor is to look for those things that have the potential to run more than SPY, and that have a good trend, right? Because SPY has the good trend. You're trying to beat SPY. That's it. Most stock investors don't beat SPY. Just they don't. They try, but they don't. So now we don't want to have a portfolio then that's so diverse that we're just matching SPY. We want to concentrate in fewer positions that we believe have strong alpha, that have the ability to really go further than the 10%, right? And we want to concentrate in those positions. Buy large positions in a few stocks. You need to be convinced why you should enter. And that's the key. You have to be convinced why you should enter the position. Give me one moment. I'm just checking. I have an 11:30, so we're going to check on that. Let's see. We have a guest caller calling into the show today. Hello, guest caller. How are you today?
Hi, Al. I tuned in and then I had to tune out because I got a call from, the hospital to go over, what I need for tomorrow.
Okay.
But I may.
Okay, we'll you can figure that out. Okay. You just have to tell me what to do. You just tell me where you want me. Oh, no problem. I got you tomorrow. Nasdaq is up 1%. The S&P is up 0.75%. The Dow is up 0.5%, and the Russell is up 1.33%. Platinum's up 1%. Silver's up 4.5%. Gold is up 1%. Copper is up 1.5% to over $6, and oil is down to 93. The VIX is at 18.4, bouncing off the low of the day, which was in the set. I think it hit the 17s, and the tick is dropping right now. So I think we're going to see a little bit of relief from the run up today, and the euro is up today 1/3%. I don't think it's going to go much higher than here. I think that we're at 1.18 on the euro with the 1.2 as a top. Still significant room to run, but I don't know that we're going to get there. I kind of think I was actually looking to see and thinking about selling positions right now just to take some profit. So I'm thinking about thinking about trading my Broadcom for Palantir, and I like Broadcom long term. It's just I have a small position there, whereas I can concentrate in Palantir, and I could then sell calls on Palantir. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know. I mean, I like Broadcom long term. That's my dilemma, you know?
Right.
Um, Broadcom has a price target. Let's see what Broadcom's price target is. Because I feel like we're really we're at 380, but their price target is anywhere between 480 and 600. So they still have at least a 25% upside on Broadcom. Kind of like,
Wow.
yeah, it's scary. It's like you want to take profit, but you don't want to miss out on the upside.
Right. Right.
Um, you know. So and the thing is yeah. So Oracle's having another good day. It's up 5.5%.
Yeah. So that.
Rocket Lab, Tesla, 3% up. Silver's up 5% today. A lot of exuberance today. A lot of market exuberance today. So it's good. That's a good thing. All
That
right.
is a good thing.
So thoughts. Um. Okay. Let's see.
So the Italian Prime Minister Meloni,
Mm-hmm.
took today, Yom HaShoah, to say that she is suspending the automatic renewal of defense, purchases from Israel,
Mm-hmm.
and the analyst said it means nothing because she waited until it renewed,
Mm-hmm.
used today, which is a real big FU,
Mm-hmm.
the announcement, but it doesn't renew again in 5 years. So there could be another.
So she's just renewed it and then said she's not going to renew it again. Is that it? Let's look at this chart. DTI.
Maybe
Wow.
Canada,
What's that?
you know, Western Europe has just abdicated all sense of responsibility and moral authority.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
Interesting. So DTI, Drilling Tools International, they're down 9%. They're at $3.17. The quant rating is strong. Almost a 4.7 quant rating, a buy rating by the Wall Street analysts of a 4. They have a 40% upside average. Wow. Okay, why are they down? Let's look for news on Drilling Tools International to help um, explain what's going on. So,
Dave, why are you standing right in front of me?
okay, let's see if we can find some more news on DTI. Summary. Drilling Tools International benefits from diversification despite geopolitical turmoil. There's a couple of guys that have holds on them, but they're old. These are older. It's not being watched by too many people, and that could be a problem because then it doesn't really move. They have a $120 million market cap, so they're small. But so DTI does oil in like Saudi Arabia, and the geopolitical unrest has caused them to fall. Okay, so DTI kind of fell pretty hard, and I think that they have potential to turn around. It doesn't have a huge potential, but let's see. OIH DTI. Interesting. OIH, which is another oil index, there. This is not tracking too far behind them. Best is PDS. Wow. Okay, let's look at PDS. Hmm. Precision Drilling. They have a very strong quant rating. They have a lot of buy ratings. Um, they're down 2% today to 91. PDS. Let's look at PDS. So it's interesting. DTI came up on the scan, but PDS looks like a more stable buy. Of course, very different price point. One is at $3, the other one's at 90. And I think I just lost my mouse. That's annoying. No mouse. No mouse in the house. No mouse in the house. Okay. So PDS looks interesting, but again, I think I just lost my mouse. So there's that. And I can't really even end my show because I don't have a mouse.